in order to scale, if you're going to hire a lot of people, you need to have some sort of system in place. So you do need SOPs. I think at one point we tried to over-optimize SOPs. Well, in LLMs, you're not ranking for keywords. It's a different approach. So how hard is it to rank for keywords now? When I'm ranking for keywords, it's in the search engine results page. Well, I think we really need to be preparing everybody for zero click.
Okay. Today on SEO Lab podcast, we're joined by Maeva Cifuentes, founder of Flying Cat Marketing. Maeva specializes in AI SEO, Generative Engine Optimization for B2B SaaS companies, helping brands improve their visibility across both traditional search and AI search. Her work focuses on helping SaaS companies attract more qualified leads, stand out during buyers' research, and ultimately grow by increasing revenue and income. With a decade of international content strategy experience, Maeva brings a global perspective on such content and AI changing world. So once again, welcome, Maeva.
Thank you. Thanks for the nice intro, Boutrin. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's what all LMS are talking about you, so why not?
Feels pretty accurate. I'm glad to hear that's what the LMS said.
Okay. So once again, for the listeners out there, we're trying to cover those specific areas of SEO, ones that people are trying to struggle and want to know more about. So let's start with explaining of Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO, in simple terms.
So, okay, well, we have a bunch of these other acronyms, and some people love to separate AEO from GEO. I personally find them to be synonymous, so maybe people are going to come at me for that. I just call it whatever the client wants to call it, which is the work that we need to do in order for our clients or our businesses to get recommended on LLMs by LLMs is the ultimate goal. So there are the different metrics like citations, AI referral traffic, etc. But my goal is, how do we become visible within LLMs? How do we get them to talk about us accurately and control that narrative, basically, and obviously drive business through it at the end of the day.
Okay, if we go a little bit far away from this, especially about your expertise and your career, so why SEO for SaaS at first place? How did you pick SEO, and then why you specialized in SEO for SaaS?
Well, I picked SEO, so I started in writing. So I started as a writer, and then I eventually just wanted to see how I could apply that in a more strategic way, where I was getting hired to write content or emails or social media, but I never really was able to see what my impact was. So I started learning about different marketing channels. And at the end of the day, I was really good at SEO. I was getting really good results. So I decided to just specialize and stick with that. And I do have to say, I didn't wake up one day and choose SaaS and say, man, I would love to work in tech. It just kind of happened. I just got some clients in software and got more case studies. Then I got more clients and I got more case studies. And then I ended up just being in that space.
Specializing in industry.
It was just kind of by chance. Yeah. I didn't particularly choose it, but here we are.
Yeah, that's very good. But what do you think for those companies that are generic SEO agencies and those that are specialized SEO agencies? So do you think that creating a specialty for your business is better in this area of world and SEO and LMS, or is it better to be generic so you don't say no to the clients?
I think it's really helpful to be specialized. There are things, for example, if I had a plumber or a lawyer come to me looking to do local SEO, I don't really have those skills. There's a lot of the things that I don't have experience with. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I know some agencies that are specialized in that, and they have repeatable playbooks. And I would rather my client not have to pay for me to figure out how to do something. Instead, I would rather know how to do it because I've done it over and over again a bunch of times. So that's where I think specializing helps. I still think that I could I don't know if SaaS is super specialized. It is. I mean, we're B2B SaaS, but even within B2B SaaS, there's HR, procurement, cybersecurity. There's all of these other different verticals that you could specialize in, which I don't necessarily do. I have dabbled in it at the beginning of my career. I did specialize in hospitality SaaS, which I kind of stepped away from now. But that was actually really helpful for me and for my clients to have specialized in such a specific vertical of SaaS. But I do feel like a lot of the lessons I learned there were pretty applicable to other SaaS verticals, other B2B SaaS verticals. But I personally think it is really helpful to know an industry well. It just means you get to results faster.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. But I also saw that one of your top keywords is SOP or SEO for SOPs and around SOPs as well. So
Yeah.
is it some kind of something that you have managed to create for yourself? Then you saw, wow, it's working. Why not? We try to compete and try to overrank the others.
We created a bunch of SOPs. When I started the agency, we created about 300 of them. And then basically the ones that were working really well, I actually put them up for sale on the website. I might have taken them down now, just because I need to update them now for AI. So there's not updated for AI, but they were really good. And we basically were at a point where we could bring anybody on, just give them the SOP, and then we don't need to be so close to them when they're onboarding because they can just figure it out following the instructions. So we were actually trying to sell some of those for a little while.
Okay.
I think they're still up on the website.
Yeah. So what if we're talking about SEO agencies, because you're also a CEO of the company? So how hard is it for a company to survive if it has 500 SOPs, or a company? Which one would you pick? A company that has 0 SOPs, but they just know what needs to get done every time, and they are an onboarding client, but they have specific problems for that client, or algorithm hit or something like that. So which one tends better? Since I'm sure you have experienced it a lot.
Yeah. So in order to scale, if you're going to hire a lot of people, you need to have some sort of system in place. So you do need SOPs. I think at one point we tried to over optimize SOPs. So meaning I tried to create an SOP for something that was creative, or something that was strategic, where now I don't know if I'm so much of the belief that you can create an SOP for something creative, because I don't want to hire a really, really smart strategist who has their own way of figuring things out and their own creative methodology, and then give them an SOP and say, this is how you come up with a strategy. So I was like that at one point, but I don't think it ended up being very helpful. So now I try to find the balance between SOP is going to be something like, here's how we upload for this client. Here's how to open their CMS and how to do this. Or here's the process of the workflow from topic approval all the way to publication. We have these steps so that everybody kind of knows what's going on and we can manage it. But I'm not going to create an SOP for a creative or strategic thought process, if that makes sense. But in order for me to scale, so I have, for example, right now I'm preparing a lot of new freelance writers, and some new people. I'm going on maternity leave next month. And so I've been preparing just for everybody to kind of cover me. I had to hire 3 people to cover me, just what I do alone.
But I'm sure that's only for 8 hours of a day, not 6.
Yeah. So, but I did create a lot of SOPs for them, and now it's SOPs plus Claude skills. So I say, I created a skill with this, so you're going to use Claude, and it just kind of is going to do it for you, so that at least their work is going to be more efficient. It's helpful for them. So that's really helpful to be able to just keep the business going without causing surprises for the client or confusion or questions that could easily be solved.
Yeah, since you mentioned skills in Claude and all this kind of automation, do you think this is the replacement for the SOPs? Because if you have a bot that you can create for a few $100s, then it's going to be pretty smart. You just need to add an extra skill to that bot, so it's going to be super smart and all the team can use it.
Well, I think you still need SOPs. So you would need an SOP to give the agent, if the agent's going to do something, you need to define the process first. So it's either the agent who's going to do it or a person that's going to do it. There are certain things that agents still can't do, or that needs a human in the loop. So even if you have an agent that's fully autonomous, it needs to have the process documented that you give it. And that's going to be like the agent instructions, which is basically an SOP. And then you have, if there's a human in the loop, both the agent and the person need to know what the process is. When do I come in? What do I need to be looking at? What is the agent asking of me, so that they know and they're prepared, and then they can take it to the next step. And then if it's just a person, some of the things that we do day to day, we still, like, my clients are each on a very different CMS. There's different logins, there's different security measures. I can't use an agent to go and we upload and do stuff in their CMS. I can't use an agent to do that. I have to use one of my people. So we need SOPs documented for those kind of things.
Okay, since you mentioned CMS, if you have to pick two best CMS for SaaS company, let's say Webflow and WordPress, which one is better for SaaS company? Which one do you think is better?
I mean, my personal favorite is WordPress, which is really controversial. Like, for some reason, everybody hates WordPress, but I like it. I think it works pretty well. I would love to experiment more with, I want to experiment more with, I know it's really popular right now to move the website basically off of any CMS and move it to Claude Code. And I would love to experiment more with that. I've seen already a lot of issues. I have 2 clients who are on Claude Code as a CMS, and there's a lot of issues coming up with that. But the theory of it and the ideation, the ideology of it sounds really nice, to where you could just go through Claude Code and say, do all these things to the website. So I would like to try that. What are my favorite CMSs? I feel like I don't have a good answer to this. I would say WordPress is probably my favorite CMS, but I know people are going to hate on that. And then all the other ones, I find there's flaws with all of them, depending on what you're trying to do. Webflow has a lot of good things about it, but I've also faced a lot of issues with it. Webflow right now is starting to run its own AEO functionalities as well. So it has the like the analytics and the prompt tracking and that kind of stuff. And it also connects to MCP. WordPress also connects to MCP now as well, though. I just found out. I've set it up on my own website. So all of them, I know some of the headless ones I find pretty challenging. I don't have a developer on my team, and some of the headless ones, you really need a developer to be able to work on them, or they're not intuitive, or every time you need a really simple feature or functionality, like even adding a table or being able to preview the page before you publish, you have to get it set up in the CMS. It's kind of strange. So I don't know. I don't really have a great answer for you there.
Yeah, I agree. It depends how much you want to work. It depends how much you want to put your hands into a website. If you want everything to be controlled by you, I would definitely pick WordPress 10 out of 10. But if you want to be less SEO experience, less expertise, or you want just to fit few clicks and that's it, I think people are somehow switching to Webflow. But even personally, I would pick WordPress all day long. So
I like it.
You can do whatever you want. You can also create custom website on WordPress if you like, or make it with 2 plugins or 20 or 40. It doesn't matter. Okay, going forward with clients, how hard is to rank for specific keywords in LMS compared to AI overview and search engines? How hard is it getting these days?
Well, in LLMs, you're not ranking for keywords. It's a different approach. So how hard is it to rank for keywords now? When I'm ranking for keywords, it's in the search engine results page, right? It's the blue links that we're looking at. That's where the ranking is happening for a keyword. So it's harder now. It's harder because where we used to have, if you're on page 1, it would mean you're in the top 10. That doesn't really exist now because we have AI overviews that takes up half the page, then the sponsored posts. So it's kind of like you get 2 or 3 on the front page. So it's a lot more competitive for that reason, but also because the algorithm has just made it a lot more competitive to rank. And then when it comes to LLMs, you can't really track ranking. I guess you could track ranking of visibility percentage, or however you want to name that, share of voice, competitive presence. It depends what tool you're using because they each have their own term for it. So that's a whole other story. A lot of the foundational tactics are the same, but it's how you apply them, I find, and how you think about the end goal and the metrics that changes how you might do the work. Even though a lot of the foundation, the actual tactics can be the same. It's just how you apply them, if that makes sense.
If we continue ranking a keyword in top first, or I mean not top first, but top 3 or top 10 to make it easier. So how is that enough for that specific keyword or query or question to end up in LMS a few days later, or it's not going to happen? We need to do more. We need to do different angles to somehow attack.
Well, it depends on what you mean by end up in the LLM. Do you mean, is ranking for a keyword enough for your brand to get mentioned, or for your URL to get cited?
If we have a query, some user is typing ChatGPT or even Grok and is asking what is the best tool to somehow automate this process and so on. And you want your brand to get mentioned as well, because that's how you get a click. You get even some tools track that they come back because they know the brand, they remember, they come back and click or Google it later on. So, but how hard is to get on mentioned by LMS?
Well, I don't think it's enough to be number 1, but that really helps. That really helps, but it depends on how competitive the space is. I have noticed that when I publish those listicles for my clients, our visibility improves. I know that there's some studies that have come out that said the self-promotional listicles do the opposite effect. I haven't seen that yet for my clients. So it might be the way that we're doing them. We're very transparent. We show our bias. We say, here's where we got the information. Here's what might be helpful to you, etc. So if you're doing them programmatically, it might have the opposite effect. So that's kind of up for debate. But I think it also takes
opposite effect. For the sake of user to have the opposite effect, I've seen that in law firms, because where we were working with law firms, you cannot mention we have helped this client get 2 billion or 2 million. 2 billion is too much. That's what they got with all the clients, some of them. But they mentioned that, okay, you cannot mention. It's a specific your mind, your life algorithm that targets that. If you say, I have earned 30,000 for this client earned this case, it has to be a source that mentions that you have earned this case. Otherwise, you're not allowed to do it in a way that if you want rankings, you can still put that on top of it.
You could say, that's what I've seen them say, is you need to actually be on another source mentioned as the best tool for this. I still do the listicles for my clients. It works really well, but we still need to do that outreach as well and have the combo.
Yeah, very well. But what are special, I would say, what kind of tools, better to say, what kind of tools an SEO agency should have? It's a must in order not to lose, to give value to their clients at this stage of AI and LMS, because we mentioned LMS because we cannot escape this stage. But what are best tools as us?
My tool stack. I can tell you about my tool stack. I use ClickUp for project management and some automation. I use Make as well. So I have, I tried to reverse engineer AirOps, or one of those kind of brief automation tools. I tried to reverse engineer it using ClickUp and Make. So I have that all in there. I use Slack to communicate with clients. I use Ahrefs for analytics and keyword research. And I use Scrunch for analytics, for AI visibility analytics. I also use Whatagraph for reporting. But the best thing that I use is Claude, which has an MCP to all of these things. And I've really leaned out my business, and I manage a lot of it through that. So it has connection to Granola, which records my calls, and I can connect to that. It connects to Slack. You can see my past conversations with clients. It connects to ClickUp. I can automatically reassign tasks or use it for project management. It connects to all of my data sources, so I can easily do some reporting, answer some questions quickly from clients, cross-reference different data sources and see trends. So that has been immensely useful for me over the last 6 months, year-ish, where I really started using it heavily.
That's great. Actually, that's what I asked. According to your expertise and experience, what would be best? But you didn't mention SEMrush or any other SEO tool.
I use Ahrefs and Data for SEO.
Yeah, data for SEO. I think they do have great APIs and way cheaper than SEMrush. I personally use it as well. But I'm intrigued to know what if we compare Ahrefs to SEMrush, because they are our greatest competitors, and also SEMrush just got acquired by Adobe, so it was at the point it was very interesting. So how would you feel? Is it about the price? It's about what the data is showing?
I've always been an Ahrefs user. I did dabble with SEMrush. I got some access to it earlier this year, and I have to say their AI visibility reporting, I think, is better than the Ahrefs brand radar where it is right now. I really like the SEMrush AI visibility, but for everything else, keyword research and tracking, I can't really tell you why, Butrin. I just prefer Ahrefs, and it might be just a brand loyalty thing, to be honest. I haven't dabbled enough with SEMrush. I just kind of stuck with Ahrefs.
Yeah, also I agree at some point, because I also use Ahrefs more than SEMrush. And also regarding to technical SEO, sometimes it gives you some things that they don't really actually matter in SEMrush. But if we want to use actually Ahrefs, I also feel like technical SEO gives you more data. The domain rating changes when you lose backlinks, changes for good if you get acquired backlinks. That's what we want to see. It's like our dopamine.
Yeah.
So if we get
exactly
100 backlinks, we're still on SEMrush, we still see it's 16. 3 months later, we acquired 120 backlinks. It's still 16. Something is wrong. And I also personally had several meetings with them, and I asked them directly this question: at least make it move, either in the right direction or in the wrong direction. We want to see it moving, because it's like it's alive. But
no, that's true. That's actually a good point. I didn't realize there's the difference between them, because I had a client we've been building links for, and I've seen the domain rating improve and everything get better. And then he was like, "What's happening? The domain rating hasn't moved this whole time." And I was like, "What?" But he was looking at SEMrush.
Yeah. So either it doesn't move, or very, very hard it moves. I don't know why they decided. And perhaps even Ahrefs is wrong, but I would like to pick Ahrefs, because it tells you that you're trying to do something. We can see here. You got a lot of backlinks. Now you're going to have good DR, relevant to your industry and so on. Now this is your achievement. So we want that kind of dopamine, because that's how we can measure and report and so on. If somebody pays a lot of money, they want to see where the money is going. And you can report 16 domain rating in 6 months. But yeah, I agree. But what about data for SEO and other tools? Like, I personally like Screaming Frog. It's one of the...
very heavy Screaming Frog user. I actually also just installed the MCP to Claude, which is amazing. I don't know why I didn't mention that.
Yeah, I think they don't have APIs. That's what makes a little bit hard.
They have an MCP now, though.
Okay, I'm gonna use that after this meeting.
Yeah. And they do have a bunch of APIs you can connect to.
I try to use directly, but I realized they don't have. Then I skip. I was going to finish some other things. I didn't have the time to go deep and find and use this kind of API.
Yeah.
But that's good to know
No,
as well.
great. Yeah.
Also for the audience, but also for me as well. Should we be intrigued for the health score of the website when we want to rank everywhere?
You mean like Ahrefs site audit health score?
Yeah, especially to that. But even if we see a lot of errors on Screaming Frog or even Data for SEO or even other tools as well, if we see that it's not doing even SEMrush, so
I fix the errors if I think that they're going to be high impact. So sometimes it'll flag errors that don't matter. It'll flag a bunch of pages that are 404 that I meant to be 404. I deleted them on purpose. Or it'll recommend, I like to rewrite meta descriptions. I would never spend time doing that because that has zero impact. But I do use the site score. I do use those site audits to just go through and see what I want to look deeper into and what I do want to fix, because some of those things are important and matter. Then I tend to check them against Screaming Frog as well, just to make sure that the data is correct, because sometimes it's not. But yeah, I think technical SEO is really important for performance.
Okay. So moving forward, because you're dealing with a lot of clients, what their most interesting point of view from them, because we know that they don't know much about SEO. Sometimes they might see a prompt, they might see a search. Okay, so
some of them are very knowledgeable about SEO.
I think it's better if they are more knowledgeable. It's easier to talk with, easier to explain. Even if something went wrong, it's easier to explain. But what about your perspective? How do you think it's the best formula to talk to them when they're dealing in this kind of starting point, an onboarding process? What do you think they care about at this stage? What you need to promise, or as an SEO agency as well? Because our audience is focused mostly about SEO. We're not attracting non-SEO people and non-SEO agency owners. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I think the most important thing is to set expectations correctly. So understand really their resources, understand the tensions, try to understand what's possible, what's not possible on their end, because you need it to be collaborative for the engagement to work well. So I really put a big emphasis on trying to make sure that I understand where the tensions might be on their end and what their expectations are based on the resources that they are able to invest in it. And yeah, I try to share anytime I know an update about an algorithm, how it might affect them, what we're trying to do. I'm always communicating that with them. I always implement a quarterly business review. So every 90 days we review, here's what we tried to do the last 90 days. Remember, I told you this is what we were going to do. Well, here's what happened. And so based on this, we either going to continue this or we're going to start a new sprint. This is what the next 90 days look like. So we always stay super aligned, and I'll invite the higher executives to those calls as well, so that I can get their insight on what's really important for them in the next 90 days. And since we started doing that, that's really improved the relationship with clients. And we used to poll them and survey them on how clear are you on what we're trying to achieve. And it was really hard to get them to say that they're very clear on what we're trying to do. And now it's that they feel very clear on what we're trying to do every quarter, because we have that regular alignment.
Yeah, sounds good. So what about when we're dealing with SEO clients that they don't know if SEO will work for them?
That doesn't usually work out.
Exactly.
Honestly, it doesn't work out. Either it doesn't even get to the sale, like they decide not to invest in SEO, or I've taken on some clients who are like, we'll try it out. It doesn't last because they don't.
Yeah, but should, like, starting from your point of view, should they invest, like a SaaS company, should a SaaS company invest in SEO or pick other channels as well, because they might help?
Well, it really depends. It depends on the space that they're in. It depends on what they need right now. Do they have Are they bootstrapped, or do they have investors expecting something specific? I imagine that most investors and executives right now are pressuring them to show up in LLMs. And for them to do that, then I think that they need to invest in SEO, because there's not really another way around it. So I think a few years ago, I would tell you, no, not necessarily. They don't need to invest in it. There's a lot of factors that determine whether you should invest in it or not. But now I know everybody wants to appear in LLMs, so it's becoming more and more important across the board.
Also addictive.
Yeah, it's addictive. And I think if you're really early stage, there's still a lot of other things that you could be doing, because I think SEO works a lot faster now than it did before. So before we could say 6 to 12 months, and I can see some movement now very fast. I think it's a lot faster now that you see some results. So that's good. But if you're starting from scratch, it does still require a little bit of patience.
Yeah, then we go to the foundation when we want it 3 to 6 months and 6 to 12 months and so on. But yeah, definitely SEO is an ongoing work. You're going to say, okay, now we had good results. Now let's pause for 6 months. Then we continue after 6 months. And when you come back after 6 months, there's nothing left.
No, it just, and because it's so fast, it also deteriorates a lot faster now too. If you're not keeping website, like I've seen, we do a sprint, then we have to re-update everything 3 to 4 months later, because you have to keep updating everything now really fast.
Yeah, if you want to stay on that specific loop, I think that's what is the most important thing to do, because you're gonna left behind either way. So it's better to stay ahead of the curve, so everything goes untouched. But if we talk a little bit more about specific LMS, do you think they do have differences in between them? Like because personally I've seen it's very fast and easy to rank on Grok, actually what we're doing, but it takes a little bit more time nowadays to rank on ChatGPT. The same goes with Gemini, a little bit of Perplexity, but still ChatGPT somehow is refusing to
really cooperate. I feel like most of my clients, the impact we see fastest is on ChatGPT. Usually, where I see like the majority of the growth is in ChatGPT, almost across the board. I have to say, I'm always looking at all of the platforms as a whole at once. I don't really drill down on the different platforms and how the performance is so different. But just when I'm looking at AI referral traffic, I see usually a lot more come from chat than any other ones.
Yeah, they actually are the greatest one in kind of numbers as well. But also we're talking about, because you're SaaS SEO agency, and actually we deal more, if I can say, nerds, and they tend to just identify which is the best LMS right now that is working, or the newest one, not the best necessarily, but the newest they want to implement and check what is different. And then it's also important to somehow show up there as well. But earlier in the chat, you mentioned citation and directories. So are they back?
What do you mean? Are citations back?
Yeah.
Like LLMs are giving. So if I understand your question, are LLMs giving links?
Yeah, in a way, clicks. Like specific, because we used to do citation and directories in local SEO exclusively. Then for some time it just went away. Then when LMS came, it's somehow people were looking for directory and citation to add your business listed there, so the ChatGPT and others can catch it up and show.
Yeah, I'm calling them. I think it might be a little bit different than local SEO citations, but to be honest, it might be very similar. But yeah, we're trying to get, I'm calling them listicle placements. It's kind of the same thing, but just getting the client placed on top best procurement software platforms for 2026 and get our client listed on those. So that is very, very much in right now.
What should we expect by the end of this year, comparing to the search engines and LMS?
Well, I think we really need to be preparing everybody for zero click. So all of our clients, we need to, every month I'm reporting, even if traffic is up, I'm like, I don't expect this to continue. It keeps going up, but I'm like, this is going to start going down at some point. Because I think we need to prepare for the clicks going away, especially last month, exactly 1 month ago, Google changed the search box. So now it's kind of AI mode is sort of default, not totally default, but it's kind of pick your own adventure. So it's really changing the SERP. So we need to just start shifting our metrics of success. And I think most people are, or at least a lot of the clients I'm talking to, they're getting there, they're getting the idea, but a lot of them still aren't yet. So they're still doing a lot of top of the funnel informational content, which is not, I don't think, something that we should really continue.
But what about zero clicks? How we can turn 0 clicks into conversions?
Well, because we're getting recommended, we're doing agent to agent. There's other ways that people get to your website. It's 0 click is meant like the organic click, like from the search engine, but there's other ways that those demos, for example, clicks for one of my clients last quarter were down by 40%, but demo requests were up by 70%. So how did that happen? It's because of the AI recommendations.
Yeah, but how we can measure 0 clicks across all platforms? Do you think we can? If we want to do reverse engineer and do more of that, for exclusive this client that actually the clicks weren't down, but
you don't measure the clicks.
Yeah.
You don't measure the clicks, you measure other metrics. You measure direct traffic, you measure demo requests, you measure visibility, brand mentions, you measure those kind of things rather than focusing on the clicks.
Yeah, makes sense. But then if we do reverse engineering for those, we can have a bulletproof idea of how at least is working these days, because we can say these months at this point.
It's correlative. It's not as linear as it used to be.
Yeah. Okay. How do you see LMS and this cooperation with search engines? Because even ChatGPT, or even if we mention Gemini, we expect it to be more usage as Google is, because it belongs to Google. Then since Bing has a lot of shares on ChatGPT, we at least expect it, if we show up on Bing, the chances are more higher to end up in LMS, but still we don't see the good correlation there. So what do you think, where is this going? Are they experimenting? Are they trying to stay ahead? How do you see it?
Well, I don't know. There's all these studies that keep coming out of, oh, you need to learn how to rank on this search engine or that search engine, which I don't know. I'm not that into the way. I think they're all search engines. So at the end of the day, what their goal is to serve the most relevant content that matches the searcher's intent as closely as possible. That's their goal for everything. So I'm definitely not thinking about it on a per search engine or per LLM approach. I'm thinking about it on how can I meet the customer in their buyer's journey. So more at a topic level, I wouldn't start going down any rabbit holes about how to rank for certain search engines, because I think that kind of defies the purpose. At the end of the day, we're not going to have different strategies for different search engines. We're trying to reach a customer.
Yeah.
And then like at the end of the day, even if it's through an LLM, then it's through an LLM. We still have to answer the question. We still have to know how LLMs in general, natural language understanding, natural language processing, we have to figure out how they decide what's relevant and how they kind of break out a query and search. But it's the methodology is going to, if you're doing the right things, there's going to end up being a lot of overlap.
If we want to create content, sometimes we used to say that content is king, but I want to talk about how important is the guest post as a backlink. So are backlinks still important at this kind of time?
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's still important to rank for keywords, important keywords, as long as you have that strategy right and you're trying to attract the right kind of person. That's still important. So regular traditional link building still works for that. But then when it comes to being visible in LLMs, which everybody needs to prepare for, it's less about the backlinks. It's more about being in the right places within the right ecosystem and named as a part of the whole entity that you're trying to, for the category you're trying to appear for. So it's a little bit different. And everybody's trying to understand how to do the listicle outreach. And that's kind of the big thing now. So it doesn't even matter if you have a link on those. It's just really about the brand mention.
Yeah. And also I've seen those part, but you have a good backlink, but actually it's not referring to that backlink. It's referring to the first paragraph that you mentioned. So regards to, backlinks, it's pretty clear, but when we're dealing with clients still, so how do you measure success with them? In a monthly basis, in a quarter of the year, 6 months?
We review quarterly. I report every month, but that's just like here's where things are at. And then we review quarterly and make sure that we're aligned on the goals. So right now we're still trying to see brand visibility within our desired set of prompts and pipeline grow. So that's what we do on the quarterly business review.
Yeah. One of the things that I always ask is when to fire a client.
I haven't really fired. Well,
or when you just bring the chances so close that you know that they should leave and you're just making sure that they leave faster.
Well, it's if expectations are misaligned gravely, or if they don't actually have the resources. So I've had clients in the past who they wanted to approve every single little thing, but they didn't have anybody on their team to do that. So there was a lot of delays and we couldn't get results because they wouldn't let us move forward. So that's a problem. I try to qualify them and just not take them on in advance. I think I've been in the business for 6.5 years now. So I think I've gotten pretty good at realizing who's a good client or not. And right now I don't have any issues needing to fire anybody. But I would say in the past, if they don't have somebody dedicated to the program, that's basically makes it impossible to achieve success.
Okay. One of the last questions, since we're approaching the end, would be, since you're an SEO agency, and how important are the employees that you want to hire or recruiting? What would be the skills that you're seeking these days? Because now we have Claude, we have ChatGPT, we have all this. I
have to tell you, I pretty much don't have any employees right now. I did have employees. I totally restructured. Now I work with some freelancers, and I have one employee who was my first employee ever, and now she's my last remaining employee. So some of the reasons where I struggled with employees, or let's just answer your question. Traits that I would look for is a lot of ownership, so like an entrepreneurial mindset, deep, real curiosity and wanting to achieve success, and ability to communicate at a business level. So understanding business metrics, understanding business impact, and then things like reliability, teamwork. Obviously technical skills, AI skills, those are important too, but I think it's really one thing that the things that I struggled to find was this true, real, genuine, raw curiosity and trying to figure things out and solve them. And then like that combined with reliability and teamwork is hard to find.
Yeah, makes sense. It's really hard. But you mentioned freelancer as well. I think that's better, right? You can get cheaper labor.
I prefer it that way.
Better, more experience.
It's not necessarily cheaper. It's not necessarily cheaper, but I can make a decision faster. I can put people on and off stuff. If business is volatile, then I can take them off for a while. So it's helpful.
Yeah.
And they also want to do the work. I ask them every month, what are you available for? What do you want to do? Whereas with employees, they don't really want to do it. They have to for the paycheck.
Somehow they can pick their own hours and when they want to work. Yeah. And also, since you're working globally, that actually makes sense for both.
Yeah.
So the client wins, I would say.
Exactly.
More. Okay. One last thing is, what's your message for all those SaaS founders that are looking also for SEO experts as well?
Founders. I would say in this new journey of AEO where everybody's trying to figure things out, stick closely to the people who have been doing SEO for a long time rather than the people who are jumping on the bandwagon, who've never worked in SEO, who are just suddenly saying, oh, this is trendy now, so I'm going to start advising people. Lean towards the people who have been doing this for many years and understand LLMs, because SEOs do understand LLMs, because Google has been working on a large language model for a lot longer than ChatGPT has been around. So stick close to them, listen to them. Don't make decisions that are going to destroy your website and your brand overnight.
Yeah. One last question. So, because we have seen...
I do have to go.
Yeah. Okay. One last question is, we have seen in different stories, that's why it crossed my mind, in LinkedIn exclusively, when, okay, I hired Claude, now I'm doing SEO for $20 instead of $4,000, $5,000, but then 30 days later, 60 days later, the traffic is going down. So do you agree that this isn't the case that they should follow?
No, that's a recipe for disaster. You should use Claude, but like you can't. It's going to tell you ridiculous things to do. Yeah, you need an expert to deal with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. So once again, Maeva, thank you very much for this marvelous conversation. I personally learned a lot, and I'm sure that the audience and people that will listen to it will learn a lot. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.